The Wade family's ancestor worship is the most grand family ceremony in the entire Wade family. Large families value ancestor worship, especially large families with a long history like the Wade family, which have a profound history and many branches, and they attach great importance to ancestor worship ceremony. In fact, many wealthy families really want to engage in special ancestor worship ceremonies, but the real ancestor worship ceremonies are definitely not something ordinary families can do. Some nouveau riche families want to hold an ancestor worship ceremony but can't hold up this stage. Because these people's ancestors may have buried the ancestors of the last 3 or 4 generations in total, and when it comes to their identities, they may all be farmers in the previous generations. There is no tall story to tell for future generations. Although the peasant class is also very worthy of respect, but in these upper-class societies, the ancestors did not have a strong enough identity background, and it is indeed somewhat ineffective. Especially in the upper class of Eastcliff. In addition to comparing money and power, it is the family origin and heritage. In Eastcliff there were many elders and children who were in power during the Manchu and Qing dynasties. When the ancestors of these families were in the Qing dynasty, they were all nobles. It was not which elder brother, which Gurgur, and even the first-rate elders in the dynasty was a member. Such a family has a strong foundation. When the ancestor worship ceremony, if you take out 2 or 3 ancestors' deeds and read it out, you can immediately give people a feeling of bullying. The ancestors of the Wade family were also imperial officials. The ordinary family and the ancestors of the ancestors could not wait to build an ancestral hall for this ancestor in his hometown. However, the Wade family, the ancestors of the ancestors, were awarded hundreds of scholars and 10 of the champions. The top 3, including the champion, made a total of 31. With a history of nearly 300 years in the Qing dynasty, there were 112 examinations in the imperial ways. In these nearly 300 years, a total of more than 20,000 scholars and 114 champions were awarded. The Great Wade family accounted for nearly 1/10, which was an extremely remarkable achievement. It is precisely because of the talents of the ancestors that the Wade family can continue to exist for hundreds of years, and it has always been quite strong. Even in the era of war, it was at least a formidable one. The Wade family has opened branches and leaves for so many years. There are at least tens of thousands of Wade family descendants all over the world, and a considerable number of them have gone overseas. Their ancestors, going back hundreds of years, are the ancestors of the Wade family. It's just that in ancient times, the eldest son inherited the mantle, and the other sons and daughters had to separate their families. Therefore, more and more Wade family members were reduced to collateral families, leaving only the descendant line as the real suzerain family. It's like Charlie's father has 3 brothers. According to the ancient rules, after Charlie's father's death, the 3 sons of the Wade family will be separated. By then, the eldest son, Andrew, will inherit most of the family business and residence. The second and third sons should leave the original Wade family mansion with their family members after 3 years of filial piety for their father, and start another family by themselves. In this way, the second son and third son's 2 families became Wade family's collateral family. At this time, the 2 collateral families were still relatively close to the suzerain family. After all, the second, third, and eldest brothers were still the brothers of the main one. But by the time of Charlie's generation, it was Charlie's cousin who inherited the mantle of the suzerain family, so the relationship between the 2 collateral families and the suzerain family is separated by another generation. By the time of the 3rd and 4th generations, these 2 collateral families have also derived several more detailed collateral families, so they are farther away from the suzerain family. If it lasts for 5 or 6 generations, the span may have been more than 100 years. At that time, they probably don't know each other at all, and they could only find the names of descendants of other collateral families on the genealogy. Therefore, as the suzerain family, it is necessary to use the ceremony of worshipping the ancestors to gather people from the collateral family at regular intervals. After you get to know and get acquainted with each other, and after worshipping the common ancestor together, the connection between bloodlines will be strengthened. This is also a necessary way for large families to maintain their strength. Therefore, the Wade family not only holds an ancestor worship ceremony every 12 years, but also revises the entire Wade family's genealogy at the ancestor worship ceremony. Between these 12-year and the last 12 years, each family will have a new heir born, an older generation will die, and young adults will marry. Therefore, every 12 years, countless branches of the Wade family report the population changes of their family over the past 12 years to the suzerain family. At that time, the suzerain family will select a respected old master to personally renew the genealogy, and write down the names and deeds of these people one by one. The existing Wade family tree records the names of millions of Wade family descendants, as well as the names of millions of their spouses, such as Wade family's son XX, whose daughter XX was married, or the Wade family daughter married to whose son so-so and so on. Each revision of the genealogy is also very grand. The female parent of the genealogy is stored in a safe with constant temperature and humidity, and is invited out by the descendants of the Wade family every time the ancestor worships. They come out, and after the worship, they must immediately and respectfully invite the mother back. Later, renew the new genealogy. After the renewal of the new genealogy is completed, grandly invite the new genealogy back, and keep it together with the countless parents. All the Wade family members regard the genealogy as a family sacred object, sacred and inviolable. The suzerain family is the only family that has the right to retain the genealogy. Therefore, every time a collateral family comes to worship the ancestors, in addition to 3 bows and 9 worships to the genealogy, it will also have a natural sense of belonging to the suzerain family. This is like the ancient emperor and ministers, through cumbersome etiquette, rituals, and strict rules and inheritance. To strengthen the director's mind, the idea of loyalty to the emperor is essential. This is also a great support for the suzerain family to let the collateral family bow their heads. However, Charlie has no impression of Wade family's ancestor worship ceremony. The last ancestor worship ceremony was 12 years ago, when he was still in Orr's Hill Welfare Institute. The last ancestor worship ceremony was 24 years ago. At that time, he was too young, so young that he has no memory of this incident. However, although he can no longer find the memory of the ancestor worship ceremony 24 years ago, he is still very clear about the Wade family's ancestor worship ceremony. The grandest worship ceremony for parents. Therefore, he couldn't help but look forward to it. He wasn't expecting to pay homage to the ancestors of the Wade family. He just expected to pay respect to his parents in a respectable, upright, grand, and pompous manner. The last time he followed Philip to worship his parents, he had to pretend to be Philip's driver, and he failed to walk to his parents' grave with his true identity and kowtow. This has always been a regret in his mind. So he said to Philip, "Uncle, please tell my grandfather that I will come to the ancestor worship ceremony at Qingming Festival."